I'm going to show you how I paint brakes on a car. You don't want to powder coat them, and you just want to paint them. Don't buy the over-the-counter caliper paint high temperature crap. It's expensive and it's not very high quality. The finish does not look amazing. I'm going to show you how to make it look amazing using different materials that totally stand up. Step number one, you need a vehicle with brakes. So, got myself a vehicle right here. This vehicle happens to have brakes. So, let's take a look, see what we're dealing with. Okay, there's the caliper. We're gonna paint them. This one is gonna be red. Similar red to that little SD symbol there. So there's the before. And I'll show you step by step how to do it, how to make it look awesome. It's very easy. It'll be very durable, and it's gonna look like $1,000. Crack these loose before you jack the car up. Raise the car, take the wheels off. Do that now. Okay, all the wheels are off. Now we have room to work. The next step is we need to clean and prep the calipers. Now, this is where things get interesting. You can take this to different levels. If you want to take it to a high quality supreme level, you can remove the calipers from the vehicle, remove the brake pads from the calipers, and thoroughly prep them by sanding them, cleaning them, and preparing them in a way where every little part of it is prepped. However, my thought is if you're going to go through that much effort, you might as well be powder coating them if you're going to remove it and everything. The reason why we would paint them over powder coating them is not because it's better, but because it's cheaper and less work. So if you want to powder coat your calipers, the right way to do it, you need to dismantle the caliper. It has to come off the vehicle. You have to remove the pistons, and then completely dismantle it. Split it all up into bare pieces. Then you can proceed prepping it. So you sand it down or sandblast it, and then powder coat it. And then you need to reassemble, put new seals in. Basically, you're doing a caliper rebuild. So if you don't want to deal with the cost and the amount of work and the downtime of your vehicle, going that route, you can paint it. By painting it, you don't need to rebuild your caliper. You don't need to take it all apart. You don't need to remove the pistons. You don't even need to remove the brake pads or the caliper off the vehicle. You can do that if you'd like. If you're a business and you're doing this as a business, you're going to offer this as a service, make sure that if you're not a mechanic shop, I would recommend don't remove them off the vehicle, because all you're doing at that point is you're adding yourself on the liability list if anything goes wrong with the brakes. For the amount of money you're going to get paid to paint these brakes, it's not worth the liability risk. Forget about it. If they want to go ahead with it, then do it. If they don't want to go ahead with it, don't even get involved. So that's just my recommendation. You do what you want. But we're at the stage of prepping the brakes. Paint it on the car. That's what we're going to do. Don't remove it. let's just do an extremely good looking, very fast, simple job. Basically, this should take start to finish maybe an hour to an hour and a half for all four. Okay? So literally customers can come and leave the same day, or if it's your vehicle, you could be done in like an hour and a half. The reason why I don't recommend using the caliper paint kits that you find over the counter, it's like a spray can. Some of them are spray cans and they'll say like caliper paint, and it'll be like red, yellow, whatever, different colors. Or some of them will be like in a little paint can where you put it on with a brush. There's two issues with them. Issue number one, the way they're designed, they're telling you, the way that they're designed is basically they just want you to buy their color and put it on. So most people, what they're doing is they're buying it. Let's say this is it. Okay, here's my red caliper. No, you're not going to have any depth out of it. It'll make them red, but there's not going to be a really rich depth to it. And the reason why is there's no clear coat on top. So the way that I recommend doing it, the way I do it holds up. So, and it looks so good. It looks so much better. Step number one for the prep, right? You're going to prep the calipers. Prep them. And here's my little table of prep stuff. Okay, this is basically everything that I need right here. So I have wire wheels of different sizes so I can get in places. I have an orbital sander with 3 different grits going from coarse, medium to fine. Okay, this is like 500 grit. This is what you want to do before starting the paint process. The parts that are harder to get to, I have a Scotch pad, medium coarseness. This will get in tight spots to clean and scuff. And then brush, because if you're working on the vehicle and you're in the middle of the prep work, you definitely need a brush. If like your hair is messy, somebody walks in and you don't want your hair to be messy, so you gotta like, you know, take that off. It's very important during the breaks because somebody walks in, your hair is messy. You know what's gonna happen? Now you're thinking about your hair. You're like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting you. And like your mind subconsciously is like, man, my hair is all messy. Like, this person's here. I don't know why. But my hair is messy. It's probably judging my hair right now. So make sure you have a brush. This person comes in, you go, what's up? Just start brushing, right? Just start brushing in the middle of it. Let them watch. Let them watch just like off to the side and stuff. Let them watch. They'll understand. This guy knows what he's talking about. So make sure you have the brush. What else do we need? And measuring tape. Why do we need a measuring tape? Well, why not? So that's all we need for prep. And then you just use the stuff. Basically, you just want this to be completely sanded and scuffed in all areas, right? So you use those different tools like, you know, tight spots. I'll use this wire wheel right there. That'll get right in those tight spots, right? I'm sanding in there. On the big flat spots, I grab the orbital sander, boom, hit it all there, right? Connected to the air, hit it all there. And then, you know, keep using these tools that I have, right? This will get in all those tight spots. You want to do it until it's nice and clean, shiny, and fully scuffed everywhere. Once you have that done, you need to degrease and make sure that it's sprayed with kind of like a brake clean product, because you don't want your paint to react to any kind of dirt, grime, grease, any of that stuff. Especially on an older vehicle, you might have like some, who knows what. But Yeah. So then you spray it down. You can use brake cleaner is a good one. Use brake cleaner. You can use Final Wipe. You can even use Varsol. Make sure it's fully dry. And then once it's fully dry, blow it off with air. If you have an air compressor, blow it off. If you're doing this at home and you don't have an air compressor, then you can probably buy like those canned air bottles, typically used to clean keyboards. I do recommend that because it'll get like the dust and dirt out of there. Brakes hold tons of dust and dirt in there. If you don't have access to that, before using those products, you can wash it down. Just find your way to get it clean and to get it dust free using those things that I just mentioned. Once that's done, the next step, we're going to primer it. You don't throw the paint on before you primer it. So let me just show you what it looks like when it's prepped. There we have it. So it's all sanded up, washed down with the cleaning agent. Now I'm just going to blow it off and then mask everything off. So what I've done is I've now placed in the middle of this table all the supplies we will need for the masking. The masking is the next step. We are to mask things. So this is what you'll need. Hopefully you can find it. You will need some plastic. This is preferred over newspaper plastic. If you don't have this, you can use sheets like paper sheets, newspaper, stuff like that, but I prefer this for brakes. Some tape, masking tape, 2 different sizes, knife to cut stuff, and once again the comb, and you guys know, or sorry, the brush, and you know why. So that's what we need for the next stage, and I'm going to now apply it to the vehicle. Look how clean and shiny and sanded that is. All right? Okay, so I cut this piece of plastic with the knife. That was the purpose of the knife. Now, how I like to do it is take this rectangular piece of plastic, okay? I bring it to the caliper, and I wrap it around the caliper like that. Then I take the knife and I put a little cut in it. And the cut is not as long as the caliper, just a little shy of the length of the caliper. And that's so it can stay tight. And then basically it wraps all around. And I tuck it all in. Nicely tucked, wraps all around. And you see, if you were doing this with paper, it would be so much work cutting all the pieces, trying to like tape it all in there, but plastic kind of just naturally wraps all around it. And then you just take your tape and you secure it a bit, but it's so much less work than the paper would be. But if you don't have plastic, use the paper. It's a bit extra work, but it's not the end of the world. And basically now I'm just taping it. The reason why we got to tape it is because when we paint it, the air pressure from painting will want to move this around if it's not taped down. So you want to get the tape on a few spots to kind of secure it. So I'm kind of peeling back the plastic and then making sure that it in position, nicely tucked underneath, and so you can see masking off the caliper literally takes a minute. Okay, it's not a big deal. Now with the extras, you just grab your masking tape and you tape it onto the body like that, and on the inside we just wrap this backwards. And you don't want to leave too much slack because we don't want the plastic to move around with air pressure and touch the caliper, causing paint to get screwed up. So, see that? Nicely masked. And then I'm going to put one more piece, just like this. This is going to kind of hold it. We can do two more. This way. This will kind of just hold the plastic from moving with air pressure. So, it's totally masked off, okay? So I have the caliper nice. Now what we want to do is we want to protect the body a bit around here, and the wheel well a bit. So we just cut another piece of plastic, or two pieces if we need it, and we just tape it on very easily and quickly. The paint we're doing, it's not like we're doing automotive paint, okay? We're doing very specific, very low pressure, targeted paint. So you're not going to get a whole lot of overspray going anywhere, okay? If by chance you do, you get a little bit of mist on the body or something because you didn't mask enough, don't panic. Just grab some bar sol or final wipe and just wipe it off, and it will just come off. So it's not a big deal, but you just want to wipe it off while it's all fresh. And so I'm going to go ahead now, cut another one or two pieces of plastic. I'll probably do one piece in there to cover up the inside here, because the wheelhouse and the suspension, we don't want to get any overspray on there because then it will look like a cheap job. So I'll do one plastic in there, and then I'll do another one for the body here, and that's it. So this took a minute, and the other two will also take a minute, and this is done. Now, I know I'm talking a lot, but this is a very, very in-depth instructional video on painting brakes, okay? If it's a lot of information that you don't really require, I apologize, but some people do want to know all the details. There we have it. So there's not going to be any overspray getting onto the body or getting onto the suspension or the wheelhouse, okay? Very easy, very quick. If you don't have plastic, you can use garbage bags as your plastic. Cut them open into flat sheets, and it's the same idea if you don't have the rolls like I do. Not all of you are going to have rolls, but I definitely do. So there you have it. It is now ready for primer. For the primer, just use, this is what I'm using, okay, 3-in-1, because I like to be 3 times as good as the rest. If you don't know what kind of primer to use, first of all, make sure you are using primer that is for automotive purposes. Make sure that it is a high quality automotive primer, and don't get primer that is not for auto body. That being said, just buy a good high quality one, and you don't have to worry too much on the brand and the model of it, just as long as it's an automotive primer, good quality one. So now you want to spray your primer at that stage. Do not go thick with the primer. Go light. Make sure you spray everywhere. And you can do a couple coats. You could do 2 or 3 coats if you like, but don't go thick. If you go thick, it's not going to cure for a very, very long time. You're going to end up putting the paint and the other coats on top of it. Meanwhile, it's not cured. It's going to cause reactions later on. It's gonna chip, and it's gonna like scratch off. It's gonna be a disaster. It's very important, very, very important, very important that you do light primer coats, let it fully dry, and put another light coat on, let it fully dry. You can do even one more if you like, and then let it fully dry. Do not go thick. Just stop. Okay, we need the red automotive base coat. This is the one I'm using. Does a great job. We need a spray gun. If you don't have a spray gun and you don't want to invest in one, go get a high quality automotive base coat in a spray can. You can either get them made at auto body supply shops, or you can buy a can over the counter that is kind of like a color match spray can. Just make sure it's high quality base coat. We also need a clean stir stick. So I have this hook thing. That will be my stir stick. Thinner, we need lacquer thinner. Okay. And obviously the brush. And we've already talked about why. So these are all the things that we need for the next stage to get red on the vehicle. Paint, thinner, gun, brush, stir stick. This is what we need. Make sure you have it. This is how we do high quality work. Next time you see this, it's going to be red. Okay, so we got multi-layers of red on each caliper. And what we'll be using is automotive clear coat. Now, if you don't have a kit like this, this is a kit that you would use to clear coat the body of a car. You could buy a spray can version of the same thing and just do it that way. But make sure the spray can version is not just a generic clear coat. Make sure it is automotive grade, high quality clear. Okay? I will be using this. This I have to mix 4:1. So 1 part activator to 4 parts of the clear. So I will be using this bottle. I'll be putting it in there and mixing it up in there. Then putting it in my gun and spraying the calipers. And wait till you see the difference that it makes. Here we go. Hose. If your floor is dusty, make sure you clean it, and you can even wet it a little bit to keep the dust down while you're spraying. Okay, first coat, very light. Put a light coat on it, and it's actually going to become like the glue of the next 2 coats. Okay, so here's the completed brake. Now we're going to do the touch-up part. This is very important to give it the perfect finish. You twist the rotor, and it will expose the overspray. So you don't have to go really crazy when you're masking it, because when you got the overspray, all you do is you get some paint thinner on a rag, and you just wipe it off. And as long as you do this right away, you don't wait like 2 weeks or something. You do it like the next day when everything is dry. The paint thinner will remove it with very little effort. And as soon as you wipe the overspray off, you'll have a perfect, clean finish, right? So now you have your caliper with no overspray. See a little bit of red here. That will wipe right off as well. See right there? Work it in. It all comes off. And then on the, see the red back here on this plastic, that'll actually just wipe right off as well. I'm gonna put the camera down. Put the camera right here so you can see. Grab the plastic. And then once we wipe everything off, all we need to do is put the wheels on.